This is Eric Beyer of Old Vine, Texas, a new winery tasting room featuring 100% Texas wines from wineries all over the state. We are located in Mansfield, Texas, inside of Ancora Event Center on Broad Street. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie board to enjoy, live music, and a new wine club. Go visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter and learn more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody, to We Know Texas Vino. I'm your host, Will, and today I've got an amazing young lady here. Her name is Remi Gregory, and look, I remembered it this time, which I missed with the very first of this. I forgot her name. Even though I looked right at it, I just couldn't get it out.
It happens. We're good.
Oh, mercy. Well, Remi, thank you for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you here. Anytime there's anybody that's influencing the Texas wine industry, I love talking to them. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. High praise. I don't know if I'm influencing, but hopefully I'm doing something.
You're influencing somebody that you don't realize you're influencing, like the guy sitting right across from you.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet.
Well, before we get into the show, I just want to tell everybody our listeners where they can find us. So you can find us online at YouTube, any podcasting platform. Find us online on Facebook at We Know Texas Vino. And then, of course, you can find us on our website at weknowtexasvino.wine. Great little domain name, you know?
Yeah.
Very expensive, by the way. If you not check that one out, those are pretty expensive.
They are. I know. I feel like you'd have to make a whole business out of taking domain names from other businesses and then selling it back to them. I don't know. It's crazy how much people pay for a domain name.
Well, and actually the extension is the expensive part, the .wine, because it's a luxury domain name.
Right.
And that's what killed me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't realize the day I signed up. Yeah.
This is all the background stuff people obviously want to know.
Yeah. So, well, Remi, again, thank you for coming on the show here. Yeah. And, you know, as we was talking before the show got started here, you know, about the background of the show and stuff, and everybody has a story. You know, we didn't wake up one day and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna make wine. So where does your story start at? I mean, what did you do before you started doing wine?
Well, that's a unique story. Actually, this is like my first, I say big girl job. I shouldn't say that. I'm almost 30 now. This is like the first like long-term job career kind of thing out of college that I did. Mm-hmm. But when I was in school, I was studying biology and chemistry, and you know, when you study like sciences, everyone freshman year either knows exactly what they want to do or has no clue what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And I was somewhere in between where I thought I wanted to be a doctor because all of my friends that were also doing the same schooling as me were wanting to be physicians or dentists or, you know, anything other, all the other like professional careers you could be in that. Right. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do that too. That sounds cool. And so I played college on a side note. And when we were freshmen, like the first week we were there, they gave us a video of what we had to introduce ourselves, our favorite like activities, what we wanted to be when we grow up. And I was like, I'm going to be an anesthesiologist because I read that they make a lot of money and whatever. That's what I thought. So I was not obviously very passionate about it. I was kind of trying to figure out my way. And when I was in my last semester of college, I actually started working at a tasting room in Driftwood. Mm-hmm. And that was just a side gig. I just needed money and I had a couple jobs just trying to pay the bills and stuff. And so I started working there, and similar to your story of just, I started listening to podcasts about wine. I started really getting into wine and like, oh, like it is sciencey. It is, you know, history, it's art, all of the things that I kind of loved already. And so, that was kind of the first moment that I was like, oh, I actually found something I'm passionate about, because I love science and I still love science. And I still love being a student and learning. And I just didn't really know exactly what path. And I didn't even know like enology and viticulture was a path to even take. I'm like jealous when I see people going to like Texas Tech or Cal Poly or Davis of like, they had those programs like lined out for them and stuff. And I graduated from Texas State, which we have a horticulture department that's great. And we have great science professors and stuff. That was not one of the core curriculum. Yeah. So I'm like so envious of them. Like they got to figure it out freshman year and I just flailed around a little bit, but it all led me here. So, I worked at Dukeman in Driftwood, and then I graduated and I got a job at William Chris. And that's kind of where
you just kind of floated in there.
Yeah. I just kind of bullied my way in there, honestly. Okay. I graduated right before the pandemic in December of 2019. And then at William Chris, they kind of kept us all employed, to do other tasks. And I just kind of bullied their winemaker until he finally like gave in, like, okay, you can come clean floors or
that's what
scrub
I need
tanks.
to do.
Yeah. Just, it's kind of like breadcrumbing it. Like, can I come help? Can I come help? Can I come help? Until they're finally just beaten down by you. Yeah.
That's funny. It's fascinating. Everybody I talked to is all said, well, I love science. I love math. And honestly, I hate science and I hate math. I mean, I'm fascinated at what science has done. I mean, the technologies and everything of science it's created a lot of good stuff. But honestly, I hated science in school.
Really?
I hated science because it just, I guess at the time, my ADD, ADHD just couldn't focus in on that.
Yeah.
And math, that just didn't happen. Even though I was really good at it, I hated math.
You're an engineer who hates math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an IT guy, so we don't do any math whatsoever.
Yeah. I never claimed to say I loved math. I was never a math person. I liked the chemistry math and the biology math, but like tangible math and calculus was not for me. I mean, you can ask my best friends or people I went to school with, like me and calculus never really meshed together.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I'm actually now becoming a winemaker. I'm having now to do, 47 years of stuff that I should have learned back in high school about chemistry. And I'm luckily, I actually work with a lady. I just found out, and I've worked with her for 4 years, just found out that she's a chemistry teacher.
oh, really?
And I'm like,
Wow.
this is serendipitous.
Partner
here.
in crime there, right?
Yeah. So I've been talking to her about it, but not have done a lot of chemistry stuff and trying to explain what I'm trying to do is kind of hard because she's into pouring wine, not into making wine whatsoever.
Right.
But she likes chemistry. And I'm like, okay, so I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how she can translate and teach me how to do all this stuff,
Yeah, it's crazy too. Cause when you apply you apply science to what you're like loving, it's so much different. Like, we can memorize all the facts in biology, like all the, the nitty gritty things, and you just memorize it to pass your test and move on and stuff. Yeah. And then I get to points in my career and like my day-to-day life where I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have paid attention like a little bit more. I'm like looking through like online on notes and everything. And just like, if I would, I don't know, maybe it comes back to that. If you really love what you're doing and you really love like what you're learning about, it like sticks in your head better. Right. And obviously I wasn't loving it at the time or else it would have been in the forefront of my brain. Right. So,
well, I didn't even get into wine until 6 years ago, you know, and I found a really good passion for wine. I found the fascination about wine, and it's such a great little drink. Okay. We'll just call it as it is. But what I really found my fascination about it is really the community behind it. Texas has a great wine community. I'm going to call it as it is. It's divided, but it's a great come together because, you got North Texas that's like, well, we're better than Hill Country. And the Hill Country says, we're better than you. And then you got East Texas, hey, what about us over here? We're just as good over here. And the High Plains over here is like, hey, wait a minute, we grow everything up here. You got to like us. You know? So there's that whole community, but slash, the division of each place, Yeah. And it's fun talking to everybody because, we're all prideful about what we're at. You know? And so it's funny listening to everybody like, come to North Texas, drink wine. Oh no, let's go down to the Hill Country and drink wine.
I mean, we're Texans, you said it best. Like Texans are really prideful. I remember when I went to my first 2 years of school in Colorado, it was funny because a large majority of the student athlete population was from Texas. And when you met someone that was from Colorado or from a different state in the United States or even out of the country, they always just like, oh, Texans, you got an ego. And so it's funny you say that about like all of our divides and stuff. And I guess in you being in North Texas too, you maybe see it a little bit differently than I do. And maybe I like everyone to get along and stuff. And so,
that's what I want. Can we just all just get along?
Yeah. But it's all because we're so prideful and so passionate about what we do, I guess. But
100%.
It's so funny. I mean, like I know California has their own divides. Oregon has their own probably opinions about AVA to AVA and whatever. We all have it. It's just,
I'm going to say one thing that Texas has and California doesn't have is there's a podcast I listen to, and I'm not even going to name the name of it, but they bash each other on that show.
Yeah. Ugh.
And I'm like, wow, really?
Yeah.
But Texas, we, Rusty up at Breaking Bud Vineyards in North Texas came up with a word competition. We cooperate with each other, but we're in competition with each other, So that's what I love about Texas wine, So let's get back on topic here.
I can talk and talk. I derail. I'm also a little sporadically minded, you know.
So do you also see that squirrel that's sitting over there too?
Can't get my eyes off it.
Man. Yeah. This is going to be a great show. So you got your way into William Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's back up. So you worked at Driftwood and you just worked in the tasting room.
I just poured wine.
Yeah. You just poured wine. So where from pouring the wine actually turned your point into wanting to make wine?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just because when I told my mom I wasn't going to be going to medical school, I think she was kind of confused because that's what I had told her my entire life. Is that what I wanted to do? And not that I like lied about it either. I think I really did think that I wanted to pursue that career. And then I found something that I really loved. And so, you know, my parents helped me. Like, we were never well off as growing up. And so part of that was like, I don't want to go these 4.5 years actually to study and not do something that I studied in college. I just wasted 4.5 years of tuition and education and all this stuff like for nothing. And so I really wanted to do something with my degrees. I wanted to do something in science, whatever it may be. If it was going on to grad school and continuing to be a student for the rest of my life, so be it. If it was being in clinical labs, which I really, really didn't want to do, so be it. But I found something that I could do, and I knew pouring wine is a great career. You know, you can do a lot of different avenues in that. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to apply something that I had already learned. So the avenue came up when they were actually hiring someone at Dukeman, I think, or they're doing something in the winery. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's like a little bit of science. And then they didn't have a position open for me there. And I really wanted to be in the heart of where everything was happening. Even though Driftwood's not that far. It's like 30 minutes away from everything. They're not like out in the middle of nowhere. Don't get me wrong. But I wanted to be where the action was happening on 290. I wanted to be out here and meet people. And I was 22. So I was like fresh out of college and I wanted to meet all these people and be around people. And then of course, pandemic happened. So what can you not do? Be around people, hang out with people, meet new people. But I found a really great community at William Chris. I mean, they're fantastic people over there. They're still some of my best friends, like in the entire world, came out of working there and being there. And I still work and custom crush out of there too. So it's like, we don't work together day to day anymore, but I get the good parts. I got to come in, say hi, see what's happening around the place, and then leave. That's the best.
You know, I actually did an episode with William Chris a couple months ago. And, you know, I was telling Zen Brown that I want to do amphoras. And he goes, oh, well, let me show you our amphoras. And we went in there and he gave us a taste of the Morvet that was in there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That was probably the best Morvet. In fact, actually, I told him, I said, I know how to operate a forklift and my truck can hold one of those.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, if this goes missing, you didn't. Yeah, exactly.
And let me turn all the cameras off right quick.
Yeah, Tony's a really great, I mean, all the winemakers they have over there, Tony and Claire and Seth and, well, now Lost Draw is no longer with them. But even all the guys at Lost Draw, Andrew and Brad, like they're all just amazing winemakers. I felt very lucky to that was my first wine job. I feel like I drew what's the catchy phrase? I don't even know, but I feel very lucky to have been able to work there. It's like my first.
You got the best of the draw or pick of the draw.
Yeah, pick of the draw. I know.
Yeah, something like that.
Sometimes I mix cliches or like the, the little like Woody's. And then my husband's like, I don't think that's how it is. I'm like, well, that's how it is now for me. But
it's like, what is Back to the Future? Make like a tree and get out of here.
Oh my God. My dad he absolutely loved Back to the Future. He would watch it like on a rainy day, on a weekend. And if there's nothing on, just turn it on. Yeah.
It's a great show.
It's a
great show. Look at it. We digressed again.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so I just wanted to do something. I wanted to actually use something that I cared about and studied. And if it wasn't the way I thought it was going to turn out, I wanted to be able to try to make a career out of it. And then, the intention after that was I wanted to do the harvest hopping thing. I heard about, Claire, she had told me she just came back from New Zealand when I first met her. And I was like, that sounds awesome. I love travel. I've always loved travel. My parents were flight attendants for most of their careers and stuff. So that was a very big part of our family. And so, and then the pandemic, that's just...
It shuts everything down.
Yeah. We actually did go to, me and my husband, which is crazy if you ask his parents and stuff. We started dating in June, and then 2 months later we moved to Oregon, or a couple months later, however many it was. We moved to Oregon to go do the harvest up there, and his parents were like, "You're gonna do what with your girlfriend of 2 months?" And we're like, "We're just gonna move across the country. We're just gonna do it and stuff." So, we drove to Oregon. We did the harvest up there after the 2020 harvest was done here in Texas, and we did the harvest up there, and then we wanted to stay up there. And then my lovely husband cannot take the weather, the dreary, dark, gloomy weather. It rained like 90% of the time we were there. He just was like, we have to go back to Texas. Like we have to be home. So,
I mean, I can see that. I mean, a couple of days of it is great, but every day.
Yeah. And like also too, I mean, they're established region and that's great. And you learn so much from going to places like that, but there is something to be said about one, like making whining your own home state. And then also like being a part of something that's like being created instead of just like jumping on to something else other people created. I mean, they're all ever changing and evolving, but I mean, why not be where all of our family is, where our friends are at, and the place that we love, like Texas is always, I'm from Austin. So the hill country is always home for me. And my husband's from West Texas. So a little bit different. He's from a tiny little town called Petersburg, Texas.
Because I grew up in West Texas also.
Yeah.
In a little town called Breckenridge, Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're about, I think it's like 50 minutes northeast of Lubbock. It's kind of close to Idalou.
Okay. I know what Idalou is. Yeah. Okay. So he's more upper northwest.
Northeast. Yes.
Northeast.
Northeast. Yeah.
Sorry.
So.
My direction is Texas.
West was somewhere up there. I don't know. I have to like point it out too. Like I'm like Lubbock is here, and then Petersburg is here, and so the closest town is Idalou. That's where he went to school and everything. So
it's kind of funny. We were just talking about the big Texas. Okay, I had a gentleman come in from France in the tasting room the other day, and I showed him the state map of the AVAs in the tasting room, and he looked at it and he goes, in his biggest, thickest French accent, he goes, Texas is so much bigger than France.
It's a long time. I mean, we're actually going to Europe for our honeymoon in November, and it's so funny because we're going to be in the south of France at one point, and then we're going to go over to Italy. And from like the south of France in like Nice area to like Florence and Tuscany area, it's like a 5-hour drive. And I was like, oh my God, that's nothing. But it's over like mountain ranges and, and a completely different country, speak different languages and stuff. And I was like, we could just drive it, Tate. And he's like, no, we cannot drive it. We're going to just take a train, I mean,
driving that here in Texas is like going from here to what, Lubbock?
It's from here to my in-laws' house. Yeah, exactly. So,
and you're still in Texas.
And we're still in Texas. We're still very far from each border too. We're not even close to a border. It's crazy.
It is crazy. There's a gentleman that was asking about how big Texas was in the tasting room, and I said, well, from border to border, if you're from El Paso to Texarkana, it's like 15, 16 hours. I said, if you want to put that in perspective, you can drive to Tennessee and then up to Michigan in 12. And he looked at me for a minute and he goes, that's a lot of state right there.
It's a lot of state. And it's crazy too. Like we only have so few AVAs here. Like we have so much land completely unexplored. And obviously those are a lot of places or a lot of land that's not, they don't have a large populations and stuff. So obviously farming might be tricky, but imagine if a lot of people lived out there and wanted to farm grapes, like how many different microclimates and AVAs and everything. I mean, it's just like.
Well, while we're talking about AVAs, so there's one I wish they would hurry and get as an AVA is East Texas, the Piney Woods area. Yeah. In fact, actually, they could make 2 out of that.
Really?
So you got Piney Woods as the main AVA, and then in the middle of that is Kiefer-Saw. Have you been to Kiefer-Saw?
I have, yes.
They're on a salt dome.
Yeah.
And so their weather pattern is completely different out there. And I love everything that's coming out of that place. I've not tasted any wine that I did not like out of there.
Yeah, it's so interesting too.
Yeah, it is. And if no one's ever been through it, and we've talked about Kiefer-Saw many times, and we'll get on and get off, but driving through it, blocks of vineyards here and there, all through the neighborhoods and stuff. I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I know. I was up in Mason yesterday, sampling a vineyard that we get a lot of fruit from at Becker. And their AVA is still being processed too. Their Hickory Sands AVA, which is...
I thought that was approved.
I don't think so. No.
Oh, I thought it was supposed
I think it's still pending, but I could be wrong. You can fact check me. I'm totally cool with being wrong. Anyway, but the Hickory Sands is just crazy. And I mean, the Llano Uplift is a proposed there's just so many different microclimates we can keep breaking these huge AVAs into. But yeah, it's just so much.
It's fun.
So much. I know.
Yeah. So fun. All right. So let's get back on topic.
Yeah. There's a path and we diverge. It's fine.
So big. So you get over to William Chris, you start making wine, you find your passion into this. When did you, at this point, it's like, I really want to be a full-time winemaker. This is my career path that I want to actually do.
I don't know if there was one point. There was just a one moment, I should say. I think it was just really during my first harvest. And that's a lot of things too. When people ask like, oh, I'm thinking I want to get into wine. I think I want to get into winemaking. How do I know? I'm like, just do a harvest. Mm-hmm. I think everyone in the entire world, every winemaker, every person that works in wine would tell you the same thing. Do a harvest. If you love it, keep going. If you hate it, it's not for everyone. It really isn't. So I think like just everything about the harvest. I mean, it's brutal. It's long hours. It's exhausting. And
you have a small window to get things done.
Yeah. And you want to get it done efficiently, but well. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that takes, there's no shortcuts. It always takes time. So I don't know. I've always been, I think maybe that comes back to like me playing competitive tennis for my whole life too, of like, I love the competition. I love like the sport of it. And so like winemaking in an old way, I guess you could consider it a sport. Like when your season's over, you've one season, you really have to push hard for 4 months to make it to your tournament, to make it to conference, to make it to whatever championship, anything, and then finish. And it's the same thing with harvest. I mean, like just with little tasks. Right. So I liked that, every day, you know what you're going to be doing. You're either going to be pumping over, barreling down, pressing. You kind of know there's 10 different activities, but you get to choose one every single day. Right. And so it's like you get to do a little bit of everything. And then also every day you're doing a little bit of something. Yep. So,
well, and to put your point there, harvesting grapes, if you want to become a winemaker, go out and harvest grapes. I tell people, if you want to become a winemaker, go work in the vineyard, because if you don't work in the vineyard, you don't understand the state of the grapes.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the state of the grapes, then you don't know what you're trying to get and try to accomplish.
Yeah.
Because, you may want a grape that's higher bricks with low acidity on it, or you may want something that's low bricks with high acidity, but you got to work in the vineyard. You got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You got to make sure they're not diseased. You got to look at this stuff.
Yeah.
And working harvest is a good way to get started, but working in a vineyard, like from the time that the bud is being breaking to doing prunings out there and then doing shoot thinning and doing all that stuff, you got to know all that. And then you can figure out if you want to be a winemaker. I personally am never going to work in a vineyard ever again.
Yeah.
I've had 2 heat exhaustions and it's always hot in the vineyard. So I have to be very careful. And I love working in the vineyard. It's very peaceful working in it. But vineyard work is not me.
Yeah. And that's why I say doing a harvest is, it's not a lower stake, lower investment, obviously, but it's a shorter amount of time. Right. Whereas like the growing season, you have to be employed with that place for 6 to 9 months to see it from fruition. Right. And so I like to I'm a cellar person. I love the vineyard. I love everything about doing that. And my husband's a vineyard manager. So I appreciate people that work in the vineyard and do all that. And one day maybe they will have our own vineyard and I get to do it from start to finish and do all the things. But I really love teaching and like helping the staff that I get to work with have been like lifelong, cellar people or like cellar masters or have these different things. And I like getting them to do a little bit of the things, like go prune for a day or like go tuck with the vineyard guys for a day, just doing tasks that like kind of get them integrated and stuff. Because I think a lot of times like we separate the two so drastically, especially at a place like I work at a larger winery. Right. So there's so many things that have to get done to be able to make our operation successful and functional and operational. Right. Whereas like with my brand, with me and my husband, like I could do all the things with the size that we're doing. But I like to try to get people involved in the cellar, in the vineyard a little bit. And then if they love it, like we had a guy who was working the cellar with us who, he thought he wanted to be a winemaker and stuff. And he did 2 weeks out in the vineyard and he goes, I'm never coming back. Like, I love it out here. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you found something you're passionate about. That's fine. We can find a place for you. It's people just have their own passions.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely what is it? A passion of love. Mm-hmm. You got to find which one is your favorite and you got to work with it. Some people like working in the vineyard and working in the production room. Yeah. And those right there are the big people. Because I'm going to give you every bit of that because I can't do it.
Yeah. But
I love working in the production room. That's my favorite part of it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of grounding just being out there though, and doing a day. Sometimes we were just behind on stuff with all the rain and everything. And so there was one day that they're asked all of us, can you just go tuck vines all day? I was like, this is the most therapeutic day I've had in a month right now. Just getting to hang out, listen to the birds chirp. I mean, it's still labor intensive, exhausting. And I did it for one day. I'm not claiming that I work in the vineyard 6 months of the year, but
I said to somebody, you said working in the vineyard was therapeutic. I told somebody the other day, I said, it is therapeutic. If you're angry, you go out there and clip the vine and it won't argue back with you. You just clip it and it's not going to say anything back.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
Well, it may grow back in a couple of days, but
Right. Or push different way,
Oh man. So you got into your winemaking now. You're doing this work at William Chris. Mm-hmm. So now you said you're working at Becker, correct?
Yeah. I have a couple of stops in between, but yes, I work at Becker now.
So bring us into that point right there then.
So I did a harvest in 2020 with William Chris, and then William Chris and Lost Straw merged.
Right.
And so I did the 2021 harvest with Lost Straw. And then I actually did like the last 6 weeks of the harvest up in Lubbock, like in the nights, like picking grapes with my husband. Well, now my husband. Mm-hmm. But like just being on the crush pad, doing additions into the bins and stuff, which gave me a really good appreciation for like, yes, they are sitting on the crush pad, and yes, they are picking grapes and they're waiting for people to dump grapes and load bins and stuff. Mm-hmm. But that is some work.
That's some labor intensive.
That is your sleep schedule's all messed up. You're kind of just like, I don't know. Anyway, side note that I just appreciate the High Plains and what they do and how they make our operation easier by picking at night and everything so much more now. And you're more forgiving of them when they're like, oh, they missed doing something. You're like, yeah, it was probably 3 a.m. and they're exhausted and we're exhausted. It's a mutual, forgiveness on everyone. But I did that. And then I actually got a job to go work at Coleman, which is now Coleman Estate with Grape Creek and everything. But then it was Coleman Cellars with Benedict. And so I did, a harvest with her over there, which was great because it was like a small production. That was where like you got to do everything. Like we did all the cellar work and all the vineyard work all together. Like we would go push mow the vineyards. We would go train the vines. We do all of it. The 2 people that worked in the vineyard and then like the 3 of us that worked in the cellar. Wow. So great operation. I mean, it was such a fantastic learning experience working with Benny and also just like getting to work at that property that I have a fond admiration for those vines and everything now that I get to work with them all the time. And then in 2023, I jumped over to Becker and became the assistant winemaker there. So that is kind of where I've been for the last 2.5, almost 3 years.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, it's fascinating, listen to not just your story, but everybody who's out here that works in the wine industry, how they start. Well, I started over here at William Chris, and then now I come over here and I work at Hillme now, and then I will go over here to this winery, and then I go over here to this winery, and then I landed over here. This is where I'm going to be now, and then probably in 3 months from now, you're probably going to be at another winery.
Hope not. I hope I still have a job.
No, but it's
for opportunity. Yeah. Yes, I'm just kidding.
I was like, dang it, she took it the wrong way.
No. No, I didn't at all. It's the same thing with harvest hopping. It's just a different place. Yeah. Like every winemaker you get to work for until like you become the winemaker at a facility and stuff. Right. You just get to take a little bit of all of them with you. You get to learn different tricks of the trade from a person like Benny, who's done it for 37 years. And my current boss, Johnny's been doing it for 28 years. And then like Brad and Tony have been doing this for like over a decade now too, but it's just different styles and they all have their own wine history. And so I find value in like getting to work with a lot of people, and like I'm not shy about asking people when I have no idea what I'm doing. And I think that's a great thing to be because, I think that there's a lot of pride being a winemaker, and like you're expected to like know everything and know all the things. And I will be the first person to tell you that I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know. And so I've always used it as like a great opportunity to try something different style of winemaking. And then also just a better opportunity as you keep going along. But then, you get to work with all these amazing people that have done their own line of history of working places and stuff. And the funniest part about when people move wineries and like jump to different positions, it all happens at once. Like one person, like I got my position because the woman who was working there got another job being the winemaker at a different facility. And so I took her job. Someone else took that job. We just all change around because, we don't have a ton of labor supply out here in our area. It's really expensive to live in Fredericksburg or in the surrounding areas, unfortunately. So that does create like a labor shortage, but we all change at once. And it's funny, like I've heard it on when we get together after harvest and stuff, then be like, okay, so you're there now. And then they took your position, and it just kind of organically keeps going. So y'all have like a monthly get together, like, okay, where do you move to now? I know. We just need like an Excel spreadsheet of like, okay, that person's there, but it's all great though. You get better opportunities, or I shouldn't say better. You get another opportunity to do something maybe different to add to your resume and add to your knowledge. But I mean, you learn something from one place and then you learn something from another place. And then eventually
as you're moving down the line, you decide, hey, I want to do my own thing now.
Yeah.
And then that's where all those years of working at these different locations actually accumulate together. Is that the right word to say?
Yeah.
Accumulate. There we go. Accumulate.
I got you. Don't even worry.
They accumulate together and you're like, okay, now it's time for me to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating because I would love to come down here and work. I would love to come down here and work. Like you said, it's expensive down here.
Yeah, it is. If I didn't have my lovely husband roommate, I would not have a place out here. But that was probably part of the reason that we moved in together was because we wanted to be in Fredericksburg, but you can't afford something on wineries are fantastic jobs, but I'm not saying that we're Rockefellers in this industry, but yeah, it's expensive for people to be out here. And so the labor issue is a whole nother topic we could talk about, but yeah.
We have a few moments.
If you ever want to work in Fredericksburg, please call me. So,
so what is your love about wine? What is it that just draws you into it and you just continue doing it? Because, it has breaking some people in life that like, I'm just done. I don't want to do this anymore because of X, Y, Z. What is it about wine that just your love and your passion about it just comes together?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It could be a million things. I think like winemaking specifically, like every lot of fruit that you get is a new opportunity to make something and experiment. And I don't know, like a fermentation is like a living organism, like you're taking care of something to fruition. So if you think about it like that, which I don't for all of the wines that we do, but a lot of the wines we do, like you're taking care of something until it's finally ready to be into the world. And then the thing I love most about like just wine in general is like, those are stories that people have. Like every vintage is a story. Every bottle is a story. Why did you come up with this blend? Why did you do this? Like there's always like different stories to tell that everyone can do.
Right.
And so like when I first started drinking wine from other places and stuff, I would look up the vintage and then I would look up like the place it came from and then the family and then the vines and who planted what. And it's just like, it's never ending. You could just keep spiraling in your head, which obviously I'm doing right now, rambling to you too, of like going on and on and on. It's never ending and it's always evolving.
Right.
And it's just like something that you share together. Like we were in a family that grew up drinking wine together. I always envied like the European model of like, the families always had wine with dinner and stuff. And we just weren't like that, which I think a lot of people in America probably aren't. But I love having a bottle of wine or a glass of wine with like your friends and just catching up over the day and enjoying a good bottle. Like that's meaningful to me. And like, when I do it with my friends that aren't in wine, especially too, like I can bring them a bottle and tell them all about it and like be like, oh, that's, they don't necessarily think all of the winemaking intricacies are like maybe their passion or hobby, but like maybe the art on the label is something that they love, or like maybe like the color of the wine, they think it's pretty, or, just like being able to share something with other people is a really like good connection that we have. So,
and people who really are into wine, and there's two types of people. Yeah. There's the people who are really into wine, that is the winemaker, and you got the people who are really into wine, who are the wine drinkers. And so the passion between the two of them sometimes can cross over. Yeah. Sometimes they don't cross over. Because there are the people who are have passion about the wine itself and they drink it, never have a desire to become a winemaker. Yeah. But being as a winemaker, having the passion to make wine, you have to also be a wine drinker as well. Yeah. Because that's the only way you're going to get better at what you're doing, or you find a new technique. Yeah. So-and-so down the road here use this XYZ contraption and they turn their wine into something that was just absolutely amazing. Yeah. And so it's fascinating that the passions are there, but sometimes they're parallel and sometimes they're not. Yeah. I have a good group of friends in town that we are all in wine, but we've, during COVID and stuff and those years afterwards where everything was still kind of contained and not locked down, but like definitely like less out and about. We started like a blind tasting group that we've done, and we've been bad over the last couple of years of just like life getting busy and whatnot. But we would like sit down like every week and taste, like everyone bring a bottle and we just blind taste it. And then we'd sit there like for one bottle we'd find and just like be like, oh my God, how did they make, like try to figure out how did they make this, like how did they get this wine to taste like this, right. And then you just spiral in your own brain for the next like 4 to 6 weeks of trying to figure out how it happens and stuff. But
You know, at the end of the day, like wine is like a luxury commodity, like, you know, and there's a lot of people in the world that can't afford wine. There's a lot of like, you know, probably both of us, you know, I have no problem dropping $50 on a bottle of wine to try. Like that's probably my fault in my bank account, but like I can see a fun wine that's like, I'm just going to grab it. But like people that I care about and like my friends, well, I'm friends with, they're not, that's not their thing.
They're
so
not
like,
enjoy that.
Right. So when they buy a bottle, they buy it intentionally for a brand, what the brand stands for, you know, like they care about what that brand is like,
looks like,
what it looks like. Yeah. But like a $30 bottle of wine for them, that's a lot of money for a bottle of wine. And it is, it really is. But,
so with that being said, we're going to diverse a little bit. What is the most expensive bottle you paid for?
Ooh.
And do you still have it?
No. I just drink it. My cellar is not longevity.
Okay.
That's not it. I was probably like in the 200s.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a champagne.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I have a bad habit for bubbles. I love champagne.
Oh,
so
man.
It was probably champagne. The most expensive, what is the most expensive bottle you've purchased?
So, well, the price level was $180, but I got a 50% off on it because of the person I knew.
Oh, that's good.
But it was a 9-year-old Viognier and they lost the barrel.
Wow.
And they found it 9 years later.
Wow. Extended aging.
Yes, extended aging. And it was actually, I want to describe it to you. Okay. First off, it was a Viognier. Okay. It was from Lost Oak down in Burleson. And it was a caramel color.
Wow.
And when they brought it to me, I thought it was like a bourbon barrel aged wine. Okay.
Yeah.
And when they gave it to me, I drank it. I was like, holy crap, this is freaking off the hook.
Yeah.
And they were selling for, I think, $180.
Wow.
And I knew one of the owners, and we were talking about him sponsoring the show, and he goes, I'll get that for you. And
yeah.
I was like, sweet.
That's great. That's great.
Now, buying, that was me buying, but I was given a $600 bottle. And those right there, I can't, in the right mind, hoard it for myself. So I popped the Corvette into it, and I was taking it around to all my friends and stuff. I was like, hey, you need to drink this. This is a $600 bottle of wine. And they thoroughly enjoyed that bottle.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of my most favorite bottles that I've ever had. One, because it was $600 and I didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of stuff that I love doing. I love sharing wine with people, you know, and because then you get to say, hey, you know, I bought this wine. I want you to try this. And either one, they're happy because they want to try it, or two, they're happy because somebody's giving them free wine and they have to buy it.
Either way. I mean, it's the experience though. And I completely agree with you. Like, and the thing that I'm hearing from you too is that you remember this moment so clearly. Like you got that bottle, you knew exactly what you did. I Corvented it. I shared it with all these people. Like I love that wine can make you remember things that maybe you don't remember, like all the great moments that you have with people that you care about. But I always do remember a great moment when I share a bottle of wine with people. Like I remember the first kind of expensive bottle I ever really got to taste was a Northern Rhone Syrah that a friend of mine had purchased from a wine shop that used to be in town and is no longer there. But we were celebrating the fact that like I had just changed jobs and there was a lot of celebratory things happening in our group. And he's like, I'm just going to buy the bottle, whatever. We're going to do it. It's like $325. And we're sitting outside and we're like just enjoying the landscape. And it's like, it's summer, but it's like nice weather, you know, whatever. And we're just like enjoying this wine all together. And like, I just remember like everyone's faces. I remember like what everyone was wearing. I remember just like, how cool it felt to like be drinking a $300 bottle of wine, you know, like the whole thing. I just remember it so clearly and stuff. Whereas like maybe another moment of just like, not saying the wine price has to dictate that, but it could be any bottle price. But I just remember like the enjoyment that we were having, sharing a glass of wine, hanging out for a couple hours and like, just being dumb, you know, whatever.
Well, you know, that reminds me, there is one bottle that I bought that was expensive, and it wasn't wine. It was tequila.
Okay.
And it was it's because I didn't math very well.
We've had that too.
So I was in Mexico and I got to know the guy there at the Blue Agave Tequila Factory there in Cozumel. Yeah. And I was down there all the time with work and stuff because I could work from anywhere. And this year the sea turtles were coming in laying eggs and got to know him. And he said, hey, you know what? I got this new tequila that's 30-year-old aged in French oak barrels. We should go out here and drink this and watch the sea turtles come in. So we go out there and we're drinking it, and it's a sipping tequila. You don't shoot this one.
Right.
And being 30-year-old, it was very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, man, I want a bottle of this before I go home. And he goes, okay, well, he tells me how much it was in pesos. And I'm sitting there doing the math in my head. I'm like, oh, okay, it's like $150.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. So
you missed the decimal point.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was actually $300 for that bottle of tequila. And I still have that bottle at the house.
Yeah.
It's unopened.
You can't bring yourself to open it once?
I can't. Nope. Can't do it all. But so it's been sitting in the bottle now for 4 years now. 3 years now. Yeah.
Special occasion though,
Yeah. One of these days,
have to pop that baby open. Yeah, exactly.
But you're talking about wine and making memories and stuff. I'm going to use my podcast as an example. I pretty well remember every little incident with every one of the shows.
That's great.
Like I remember, like the time at Firelight with Meredith when she was laughing, or the very first episode that I did, and I was using like one microphone and a cheap soundboard.
Yeah.
So I remember all those little moments as we go through, and it's all because of wine that brought that up.
Yeah.
And the wines are great, So it's just amazing what wine does for people.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't necessarily even remember the wine. Like that's like I try to always remember the wine. Disclaimer. Sometimes you may drink too much. Don't sue me. Anyway. But like sometimes like you're just enjoying the moment so much and like the bottle brought you together, but like the memories, that sounds so cliche. Oh my God. So I'm gonna listen back to this and be like, whoa, Remi, stop.
So with that being said, what do you love about Texas wines? What is your one thing that's like, man, this is why I love doing Texas wine?
I love a challenge. And I think making wine in Texas is always a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're fighting against literally every possible problem you could have in different AVAs with their own issues. Like right now in the hill country with all the rain that we've gotten, like there's a lot of stuff that's just like, kind of starting to have some rot or falling apart or just, didn't really hang well through all the rains and stuff. And then you have people in the high plains that get hail problems and just like, and then you go get your chemistry of your wine. And then that's a whole nother host of issues we can go into for hours and hours. So it's just always a challenge. It's something new every day.
Right.
And I think the thing I love about it, and also I think a huge probably problem is that we do have so many varieties and we have so much different types of wine too, that like, that's always something new and it's great. However, should we have 50 varieties, 60 varieties that we all grow in the state? I don't know. That's not for me to decide.
Right.
I don't really care, but it's just always something new. Yeah. A challenge and something new. And always trying to figure out something different to do or a different style, different technique. I don't know. It's just something new. I guess that's the best answer I can do.
So with the love of Texas wines, I mean, obviously the Texas wine industry is still exploring and it's very much in its infancy. What do you hope to see out of the Texas wine industry in, let's say, the next 5-10 years?
Oh, that's a big question.
I know. It's an adult question.
It is an adult question. Unfortunately, I am an adult. Wow. I don't know. I think there's a lot of different things that I'd like to see. I'd like to see us maybe, explore different regions. I love what everyone's doing out in way West Texas and like the Alpine region and exploring different places. And
I think actually John Rivenberg just started a new vineyard out there too.
I think so. Yeah. I had heard about Ben Calais doing some projects out there. Signor's doing some projects out there. I didn't know about Rivenberg, but that's great. I just think it's like so unique and something different. Yeah. And I also just hope that like, we have so many amazing people that are kind of like me that are just starting their own new brands and side projects and stuff. And I'm really excited for that to be taking off and people to be exploring their own kind of like passion projects and stuff. Like we have so many talented people that are like new and old in the industry, like not age wise, but I mean like longevity wise, not going to offend anyone. I'm not an ageist, I promise. But there's so many different like projects that are like in the works right now. And every time I meet someone, they're like, I think I'm going to buy a ton this year just for myself. And I'm like, that's great. I would love to see what you do. Cause it's different making wine for a brand. Like the wine that I make with Becker is completely different because we have our own brand identity. We have our own style. We have our customers that expect that. But with the stuff that me and my husband do for our brand, like that is just fully whatever we want to make it. So it's just so different in style. And so I'm really excited to see the next generation of people coming up along with me of like what we're going to make of it and what we're going to find. I would love to see a little condensing of variety wise in certain areas. Like I think that would make it easier for people to like latch onto something, like, nail it down a little bit. Yeah. Like, like in, I'm not trying to compare it to California. We are not California or other places, but like a different example is like, Napa Cab versus like, Santa Barbara Pinot Noir, just different things that people can kind of like, I love the Rhone and Italian varieties in the hill country. I love the Bordeaux's in the high plains. Like I love, I think with the not condensing down, I love the exploration of it, but I think maybe like something to think about.
Right. That's interesting. I never really thought about that, but until you just said that, that is interesting.
In East Texas and stuff, you can't grow everything, obviously, with the type of climate and humidity and whatnot.
They're growing a lot of stuff out there that I would never thought would grow out there.
Yeah.
The fact I actually, who was it? I want to say either Twisted Pine or Enoch Stomp.
Yeah.
They're doing like a Petit Verdot out there and doing a Cab Franc.
Yeah.
Which I would thought more grow over this way more than over there, but they're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. I'm not saying to stop the exploration, but I think it would be, I don't know. I would hope in the future that we kind of like nail down what we're going to do, like what we're going to kind of like claim to fame. And I think we've tried a few different things. But once again, we're such a large state, so we can't break it up. We have to be like our own regions. And so I don't know. That's kind of my hope, but no one has to listen to me. That's totally fine. That's my personal preference.
Well, you made a comment about something or a statement, and I never really thought about it until you just said it. You said Becker has his own style. Well, realize that every winery has their own style. Mm-hmm. And when you refer to a winery having their style, can you kind of diverge on that just a little bit? Yeah.
I mean, winemaker to winemaker, I think that's a big part of winery styles and winery's brand. We have had the same winemaker for like 12, 13 years now. And so the wines that are now have been, kind of libraried and going on, that is like so dependent on who your winemaker is. But like Becker as a brand, like we like to let our wine age a little bit longer. We like to like kind of not push the oxidation, but like we are okay with a bottle or a wine aging in barrel for much longer. We do use a relatively large amount of oak, which is different from some people, but that's part of the reason they tell you not to do like cellar palate and just only drink your own wines. It's because you get so used to drinking that over and over. You just get so absorbed into what style of wine that is. But I'm not saying it will completely change like with a new winemaker at a different place, but I do typically think that it's a winemaker's influence that kind of stays. So when you have a place that maybe has a winemaker for 3 years, they might have a certain style of making like, fruit forward acidic wines. The next one wants to be more refined, more age worthy, or ageability in their wines. It's just so dependent.
Huh. And I didn't really think about it until you just said style and, every winemaker, every cellar, I just totally went blank. Yeah. Everybody has their own way of making wines.
Yeah.
And their passion for that style came from a different region or a different location. Hey, you know what? France made it like this and I love it this way, or Italy did it this way. I love it this way, Yeah. So it's fascinating to learn about how people like different things,
Yeah.
And then they try to push, I won't say push it. Push is not the good word. It's present it to people, and then people start figuring out what they like, and they're like, oh, you know what, this winery over here is great, while this one over here is not the style that I like, but it's still good. Yeah, it's just not what I like.
And also too, like I think a lot of brands themselves develop like a certain like clientele that you kind of majority. So as one of the older wineries in this area, like our demographic skews relatively older in our wine club and our visitation and stuff, because they've been coming here for longer than I've been alive. I love to point this out to Becker all the time. It's like they're talking about their first vintage and they're like, what did you think about vintage? I was like, well, I wasn't even a thought yet. I wasn't even born. But 95 was great. Good job. But you have to also cater to that style and that generation of drinking wine, because the way that boomers and Gen X drinks wine is way different than young millennials, Gen Z. Yeah. It's just a completely different avenue. So
100%. So, and if I understood correctly, you're working on your own brand right now.
Yeah. Well,
so tell us about that.
Yeah. We've been doing it. This will be our fifth vintage, 21, 22, fifth vintage.
There you go.
Vintage. I don't know why I had to count that, but anyway, long day at work. Yeah, so we started in 2021. We just started with a half ton of Mourvèdre and a half ton of Grenache. And we had been talking about it for months and months of what we wanted to do after we came back. Well, when we were in Oregon and then when we came back from Oregon. And then the harvest in 2021, when we were at Lost Draw, like Brad and Andrew and Chris, they're like, we have some extra fruit. Do you want to start now? And we were not expecting to do that the first year. Second year harvest, whatever. But the opportunity presents itself. You just take the opportunity. So we made a rosé saunier off of that. And then we fermented that as a red. So that was our first rosé and red.
Wow.
Yeah. And then since then we've been trying to just grow organically and small. So, the first vintage, we made like 24 cases of rosé and like 50 cases of red. And most of that, like your family and friends like pity you and buy all of it. Cause they're like, that's so cool, and that gets allocated and whatnot. And then at the time, like there was a lot of people kind of doing some small brands and stuff. And then I feel like it kind of faded a little bit over the last few years. And now it's kind of more prevalent of just having like some small side projects and stuff. And so we just kind of grown a little bit over every year. So the first one, it was like 1 ton. The next year it was like, we're going to do 3 tons, one of Mourvèdre and Grenache and Sangiovese. And then we did that for another year. And then now this year we're doing 9 tons of fruit. So yeah, so we've just been trying to evolve, not go way far into it and then realize there's no point turning back and stuff.
It's too late. You're already there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Last year we did 7 tons and most of it, my husband's picking grapes up in the high plains. So it's kind of me just bouncing back and forth to like my day job and then going to do punch downs and labs and then come back into my day job and stuff. And so I really love it, but it's just always a cluster.
Yeah. Well, during harvest and production time, it's always going to be like that.
Yeah. We're not the most friendly people in the entire world for these 3 months. I would just say that, but
don't talk to me. Don't even look at me. Don't even breathe.
Yeah. But it's called the Berg Wine Co. And it's an amalgamation of like Petersburg, where my husband's from. And then Fredericksburg is where we live now. So kind of the meshing of the Bergs.
Okay.
And yeah, we made it was kind of a bit that we're going to make 5 wines and we argued about what we're going to call it because every fanciful name just sounded dumb and ridiculous. And we didn't want to call it like, if it was a red blend, we don't want to call it red blend. And so like we called our first red wine, it's a red blend of Grenache and Mourvèdre. We called it Vin Rouge. And then we made a Sangiovese. And we're like, okay, so what do we call that? It's 100% Sangiovese. I'm going to call it Vino Rosso. Just means red wine in French, just like you said with your brand that you're wanting to start.
Yeah.
Like it sounds better.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It just sounds better.
Yeah. And we're getting to a pickle because last year we made a Bordeaux blend that will be ready in 2026. We'll bottle it then. And we already took Vin Rouge for the red blend in that for the Southern French blend.
Right.
What do we call the Bordeaux blend? We have no idea. But
you could call the same thing, but just say the word "two" right after it.
Yeah.
In French.
Vin Rouge de. There we go. All my French teachers everywhere are cringing right now. But
that would be funny to do that.
But yeah, it was kind of a bit. It started. We're just. If you go to our Instagram or our Facebook and stuff, like all of the content we do is just so ridiculous and fun and lighthearted and everything. Yeah. And we sell our bottles at a really reasonable price for like people our age. Like it's $29 for our whites and rosés. It's $39 for our reds. We just want it to be like approachable and easy drinking and just like, the type of wine our generation right now is kind of like gravitating towards. That's our hope for it.
I don't have a storefront right now, do you?
Nope. We sell everything online.
Okay.
And then we have a couple placements in some retail locations like Prometheus Pizza in Fredericksburg carries us.
Okay.
Rerooted carries us in San Antonio. The Salt Lick and Driftwood carries our wine. So we have a couple like great partners that like we care about and we trust that, they're telling our story and the brand and stuff. We actually also have our wine. Completely forgetting in this shop in Petersburg, Texas, Tate's hometown. So,
okay.
So can't be remiss of mentioning that one.
Oh yeah.
The West Texas community would come for me.
Yeah. You talk. Oh, well, I'm sitting here looking at your website and I'm looking at your wines and I saw your Vino Rosso. Won gold at the Houston Stock Show Rodeo.
It did. Yes.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, that had to be okay. I know how I would feel. How did you feel when you first heard that?
Oh, it was fantastic. And it was even funnier because it got a Texas Reserve class champion and you get a gold medal and you're like, what? Who beat us? And it's our friends over at Sandy Road. And I had their Sangiovese like right before that too. And I was like, man, this is a really good wine. And no, it was amazing.
That's funny.
We don't do competitions that often, mainly because we don't make a ton of wine. Like most of our lot sizes are very small and boutique size. So like 50 to 100 cases.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to like enter into competitions that like require a large, quantity to donate or for all the events and stuff. So it's cool to get them too. And I got a belt buckle, which as a girl from Austin, I've never worn a belt buckle or boots. And I was like, I don't even know how to put this on.
Is it this big around here?
No, it's a little one. But I didn't realize that you needed like its special belt for it. I was like, how do you put this on your belt?
And you have a special belt for it.
Yeah. And just my husband shaking his head at me like, come on.
I used to have a couple of big belt buckles.
Yeah. Our first belt buckle, though, and the first competition we ever entered was the Vintners Cup last year. Have you heard of that before with Texas Monthly? And we actually won our 2022 Vin Rouge, got selected as one of the 12 best Texas wines in that package. And we got to pour our wine at the fair last year. And we got a belt buckle with our name engraved on it. And that was awesome. And Texas Monthly is like one of my favorite publications too for my entire life. I have so many of them growing up. And so getting a little feature in there was really, really cool. I definitely cried in the vineyard that day while I was sampling. So
I'm just sitting here looking at your website and looking at your wines on here. I saw you have a Picpoul Blanc.
We do.
I have to ask. Typically, when I see a Picpoul Blanc, it's usually in the high shoulder bottles. I noticed that yours is more almost like in a rosé bottle, but green. Why did you choose that bottle?
That was the bottle William Chris had available that day.
So that's easy enough.
I could lie to you and be like, oh, we just love the color green and the shit. I actually really do love the Picpoul in that bottle. It's more in like a Riesling kind of green bottle, but they've been doing it like that for years. William Chris and both Lost Draw, and I've always loved because I see that bottle. I'm like, oh, I know what wine it is. I know I'm gonna like it. I know I'm gonna love it. And the boring answer is, that was the glass that they had. So
you could just lie to us. We would know.
I
know the difference.
I'm a really bad liar though. Like you would maybe, they wouldn't tell hearing it, but seeing it on my face, you would be.
No, it's on video.
You could tell. I'm a bad liar. I'm a really bad liar.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, Remi, it's been an honor with you all coming on the show here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Is there anything else you want to talk about that I've missed covering with you? I mean, we did diverge so many times off so many different topics, and it's been fun talking with you. We would definitely have to have you back again.
Or we'll just have a glass of wine together and everything,
I'm gonna be here all day.
There you go.
You're coming back tonight, right?
I am going to be here tonight, so
that's gonna be fun.
This was fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to listening to you. I'm actually going to start listening to podcasts because of you. Don't worry.
Well, thank you. You don't have to do it just because of me. You do. Yeah, actually do.
You do. So you don't need to tell people that.
Well, but is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about? Any of your passions that outside of wines that just it helps influence your wine stuff? Is there anything like that?
No, I'm pretty boring. Like wine is I made my career, my hobby, and you create your own brand and stuff. Like I made all of my life has pretty much revolved around wine, and that's the best thing possible. I love traveling for wine. It's just like, I don't know. Nice. I play tennis still a little bit, but I'm old and my joints don't work as they used to. That's my only other hobby, but
don't say those words.
I know. I got some bum knees from playing tennis on hard court my whole life, but
you know how hard it was when I crawled out of bed this morning. I was like, oh,
it's like creaking and cracking, and just like texted my friend this morning. He was a doctor, and I was like, my joints hurt. Do I have arthritis? And anyway, you don't need that, but no, this is great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. So real quick, we're going to hit my sponsors.
Let's do it.
The first one is Texas Wine Lover. Obviously, you know who they are.
Sure do.
Amy Nimick used to be part of that. She did such a great job on there, and Jeff still does a great job on it. You can find all the wineries in Texas. Well, there's like 700, 800 wineries out there.
So many.
In fact, actually, I love showing that app to people who come in from out of state, and they were like, "Oh, Texas have wineries." And I was like, "Yeah, look at this app," and I'll show it, and they'll see all the wineries in Texas, and they're like, "We didn't know that."
They're like, "Holy crap!" Yeah.
I said, and I do a podcast, and I drop an episode every week.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of work to do. Yeah. This is the 107th episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I got a lot of work to do in a short time to do it.
Yeah.
So go download the Texas Wine Lover app on any of your Play stores, or even go to the website at texaswinelover.com. And then also, I don't know if you've heard of this place up in Mansfield called Old Vine, Texas.
I have heard of Old Vine, Texas. Yeah.
Eric and Emily. They're one of my sponsors. Love them too. I actually have introduced some of them, some of the North Texas people.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to do some of the wines for both the Hill Country and up there, which would be great. In fact, they're trying to actually work something out where they can have different regions of Texas in their tasting room.
Wow.
But they can only do 13 right now. So they're doing good what they're having. And I love them. Go check them out also at Old Vine, Texas in Mansfield. And then I've been showing this thing. I brought this to show this off because it's hard to describe this and not have it on video.
That's a fancy box.
So this is a high camp flask. And I've showed this many times already to everybody that's been watching the show. But this, let's say you're out in the vineyard.
Okay.
And you're working and you want a glass of wine, but you don't want to walk back all the way inside and get that glass of wine.
You never do. Yeah.
So this thing will hold exactly one bottle of wine.
Wow.
Okay? And each end comes off and makes a tumbler.
That's...
Then you don't need a funnel or anything like this. If you're actually really good, you can just pour it right down into it.
Wow.
And this actually, when you seal it back up, it actually pressurizes its own self.
Hmm.
All right. And then basically what you do is you can have your wine in here. It keeps it up to temperature for up to 24 hours.
That's perfect.
And it's great. I've tested it with my stepdad. We put a bottle of Barbera in here and stuck it out in the heat and left it in there until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And went and drank it, and it was still at temperature. It wasn't hot.
Wow.
Yeah. Still really enjoyable.
That's incredible. It's perfect for like farmers. I was at the farmers market in Fredericksburg yesterday. It'd be perfect to take a bottle in there and secretly drink a little. I mean, it's allowed totally, but that's great.
So yeah, check them out at High Camp Flask. And what's really cool is that not only do they do it for wines, but they also do it for spirits too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
that'd be dangerous. Ooh, some spirits. You're taking the little cups like that. That's you'll be walking home that night.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, so we're coming to the close of the show, and I'll always do wine quotes. And I had wine quotes for every episode, but something about my online stuff, I lost the last documents for this, so I had to come up with some quick ones. So I hope I've never done these before.
Okay.
So here we go. You ready?
Yep, ready.
So the first one I got here is yoga class. I thought you said pour a glass.
That's funny.
Oh man. And then this right here is actually pretty funny. This is for you and I. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until the wine runs out.
Yeah. Things start get dicey then. People go crazy. Yeah.
Definitely do. So, well, again, Remi, thank you for coming out here.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck on all your journeys out there and all the success in the world for your adventures that you're doing, your own brand.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope to see you soon over a glass of wine, maybe.
Yeah.
And a high camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this is Will.
This is Remi.
This is We Know Texas Vino. Cheers.
Cheers.